Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Dark Knight's Death Metal #1. And I gotta say, have you ever had one of those moments where you read something and then you're just kind of like, what did I just read? Was this actually any good? So for me, this was good-ish. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was hoping that it was going to kind of be a continuation of Snyder's Last Night on Earth, but for this series, what it is if you really want to understand this book, you really want to start with what was that series called? Dark Knight's Metal, obviously, because that's kind of where he started the whole thing with Barbados or Barbatos or whatever it was called, the Batman Who Laughs. But then after that, you want to jump in and read his run on Justice League, where I think the event that kicked it off was the Year of the Villain, and it shows the Justice League going to save the Source Wall. So you want to read Dark Knight's Metal, his Justice League run, and then I guess the Year of the Villain is kind of where Perpetua sort of ran in, and that's kind of where this story kicks in. It's kind of the fallout of that. But before we even get into all that, let's talk about who made it. So Death Metal and Anti-Crisis, Part 1 and 2, plus It All Matters. It's not Part 2, just Part 1. It is Scott, Hallowed Be Thy Name, Snyder, Greg, Painkiller Capullo, Jonathan, Motor Breath Clapton, and then colors, FCO Fixer Placinia, letters, Tom, Mr. Nice Guy Napolitano, and then here's everybody else associated with the book and the creators. Bill Finger with Bob Kane did Batman, and then Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster did Superman, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones. It's just a whole lot. And then this is kind of like the map that they made for this story, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and pause it. And we open up on Wonder Woman, and you see her wielding a chainsaw, which, what is she doing with it? Well, it's kind of sad, but it's sort of like a poke at the old school Wonder Woman, so I'll go ahead and leave that for you guys to read and check out. And you come to find out that she is sort of a slave to all of the Dark Knight Batman. So like the Red Death, and then like a whole slew of others. And you see that she's kind of the warden of this prison. So you'll see characters like the Riddler, Captain Cold, and then of course the Joker. And then who's kind of the jailer for Wonder Woman is Swamp Thing. And Alec Holland, as you can see, is not exactly looking up to snuff. But yeah, this is where I immediately knew that this wasn't a follow-up to Last Night on Earth, because this isn't Noggin. And if you guys haven't know what I'm talking about there, I'll try to get my Last Night on Earth reviews back up, because it was kind of funny. But yeah, Swamp Thing here is saying that no one else can wear the symbol of the bat because of this world. Yeah. We have, I'm not sure who this character was supposed to be. If you guys knew who this is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a Batman, but I'm not sure which Batman. And then we have B-Rex, which it's kind of funny where how they introduce him and his backstory from his dark multiverse and all that stuff. That's kind of cool. And then we kind of see the world as it is now. So we see the Robins and Dragon Jokers. Sort of like, okay. And then we're introduced to kind of some more of the characters that work for the Batman Who Laughs, because that is who is the ultimate boss of this world. So we have Harley and Dr. Arkham. We have Aquaman. This character here, I'm not 100% sure who. I'm guessing, I don't know. We got the big Cthulhu, and then we have that Batman we were talking about. Wonder Woman and Swamp Thing, Mr. Miracle, and then this character, I'm not 100% sure. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like a mutated Batman Dark High Father from a New Apocalypse, since that's Mr. Miracle. It gets a little confusing there, so kind of leave it as it will be. But anyway, we kind of see the whole thing with the Source Wall, which that was a cover from Dark Knight's Metal, which is really cool. And then I like how they introduce the normal Batman, which I will skip over, but I like that he's rocking this coat, and the Batman Who laughs like, nice coat. You look like someone here to kill me and dance on my grave. Lucky for me, you don't kill. And I don't dance either, but I'd make an exception in your case. So we kind of have this back and forth, and we're going to do some more Batmans, which at this point, this is where I was wondering if this is any good, because I remember I was watching the Cleveland show, and everyone was in line for something. And they were talking about Han Solo and Star Wars, and then kind of like Firefly, and Cleveland Brown Jr. says, because they were talking about Mal, and he goes, when everybody's Han Solo, nobody's Han Solo. And so right then and there, that kind of made me think that when everybody's Batman, no one's Batman, because it kind of loses its pizzazz. So that's where I kind of started thinking. But nonetheless, there is still the true Batman, and I love Capullo and the art team's artwork here. Love that motorcycle. And then of course there's a moment where the actual Black Lantern's ring kind of comes into play. So again, if you guys didn't read post Flashpoint, if you didn't read Blackest Nights, make sure to go check that out. It's in collected trade now. But anyway, there's a moment with that, and then I love that Jonah Hex is a part of it, because he's kind of one of my favorite characters where, anytime I can find a book with him in it, I'm like, yeah, I'm a happy little camper. So, that's cool. And then there's actually moments with Sergeant Rock, which is really cool. And there's this character that in the beginning where they have to jail them and put them either in a cell or hell, as they call it, Themyscira. And so this cloaked figure has a lot to do with what's going on. I don't want to give that away because that'll kind of spoil a lot. But needless to say, it ties back into also, again, if you have not read, what was that? The DC's Rebirth, the main book that kind of relaunched a lot of these books, and then Jeff Johns' Doomsday Clock. Because again, all these event books, Scott Snyder does. I like how he's able to tie all this in together, which is a really cool idea. But then this book, and this is kind of how I feel, is when you start introducing too many events, then a book has a hard time standing on its own two legs. Because even this thing goes as far back, start talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths and all the different crises. Because that's what we're talking about here. As you can see, Parallax, you see Superboy Prime, you see the Anti-Monitor, Dark Knight's Metal, and just I'm glad that I've read a majority of these, but for those that are kind of, new or uninitiated, it's just kind of like, whoa, my God, where do I even start? You know what I mean? So that's where I kind of was wondering, like, is this any good or, So I like the idea of what they're doing. I really do. I think it's fun. Like, you kind of start getting some moments, and you kind of get a nice little, reveal, and you're just kind of like, oh, so I see how the Batman Who Laughs is going to survive. And so again, towards the end, I like that Sergeant Rock is kind of used in a meta way to bring in the reader, but it's interesting how he works with Batman, which I don't want to ruin, but yeah, he kind of opens and closes the book. So yeah, DC Dark Knight's Metal, like I said, I kind of wanted to jump over. I didn't really want to get a lot into the dialogue because it gets a lot of spoilers away, but I just kind of wanted to show where they were going with this and the type of events that kind of led up to this book. So in a sense, when I said, was this goodish? Is it any good? I think it's good from the fact that this is kind of an Elseworlds, because, the main continuity is already continuing. But I like that Scott Snyder kind of steps out and does his own thing. So I can appreciate that in Dark Knight's Metal #1. So if you've enjoyed this book, please make sure to support your local comic shop and go pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we'd definitely appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And as you can see here in Wonder Woman's hand, a fancy little chainsaw. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little chainsaw bell next to subscribe, we definitely appreciate it. That way when we upload new content, you guys will get notified and come to the channel. And we love to have a dialogue and hear your feedback down in the comments below. And if you'd like to see me go over Dark Knight's Metal #2, let me know as well. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.